Hopefully you got a chance to try out this week's Bot Game Season 2 challenge. This one is called the Auction Sniper. So in this video, I want to walk through the process of talking about what the challenge is, how it works, and how we can build a bot to successfully complete this challenge. I also want to go over some tips and tricks, some things that I saw on social media this week that were great, some that were not so great, so that we can talk about the best way to solve this challenge. Sounds good? So real quickly, the objective of this challenge is we want to try to bid at the very last second to increase our chances of winning an auction, okay? So we're going to load up this auction page. It has a randomized amount of time left in the auction. We're going to try to bid at the very last second so that we get the best price on the auction and so that we can not be outbid by another bidder. Now, every time the page loads, it does randomize the amount of time left. So we'll need to make sure we account for that in our bot build. Secondly, it shouldn't matter exactly what we bid as long as we bid right before the auction ends. So as long as we're bidding greater than the dollar of the highest last bid, we should be safe. I'll show you exactly how that works here in a second. So let's hop over to our bot building interface. I'm going to be using Automation 360 for this one, as should you be. You can do this in Automation 360. You can also do this in Automation Anywhere Community Edition. Either one of those will work, and that should enable you to accomplish this bot build. So what I'm going to do is go to my Automation tab, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this one Bot Games _ Season 2 and hit Create Folder. And then inside of that, I will create my bot, and I'll call this one Auction Sniper Challenge. Cool. So I'm going to refresh this page because I want to show you exactly, oh, it already kind of refreshed itself there. I want to show you what the challenge looks like, right? We've got 43 seconds left in this auction. What I need to do is I'm going to need to come in here, enter an amount. And again, when I say what I need to do, I mean what the bot's going to need to do. Enter an amount. I'll hit quick bid. And then when I place this bid, right, I click this green button, and that's what commits the bid to the auction. Now notice I bid at like 25 seconds left. Automation Anywhere bot is the highest bidder at that time. We're going to see that there's another bidder that competes against me. So when we get closer to like the 6 to 2 second range, we're going to see that there's another random bidder who will come and outbid me or compete with me in the bidding process. So I bid, I think, $500, and this individual bid 501. So I lost the auction, they won. We're going to see how we can build a bot to win this auction. So the way that I like to build bots, and I'll switch to dual mode so you can see this either way, is I like to first build out the skeleton of that logic, right? Like what are the things that my bot needs to do? And then I'll go back through and actually fill in the skeleton of that bot, those steps, with the actual actions that are required to complete each step. So I'm going to do that here, and then we'll go back through and fill in all the code that's necessary to complete each step. And I'm doing this specifically because I want you to see my bot building process. This is the exact same thing I do for any real build that I'm doing. If it's for a customer or I'm showing a demo or something like that, I'm always going through the process of building out my skeleton with these steps and then filling in the code. So my first step is going to be pretty obvious. I need to launch that page, right? I need to launch the auction page so that I can get it up and so that I can start to take any other action accordingly. My next step, I want to, let's say, capture time left. Okay, I want to see exactly how much time is left on the auction when I load the page. Now, obviously, I don't see that right here because I already lost this one and the time is up, so it's not showing anything. But I do want to capture the amount of time left. Just like I showed you on that demo when I just showed you how it worked, right? I want to place initial bid. Now, when I say initial bid, what I mean by that is there's technically two buttons I have to click to place the bid. So initial bid to me just means like enter $500 here and hit quick bid. What we want to do is we want our bot to continue scanning for this time in the background of this modal and then only click this place bid button at the very last second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to at least get it to this point where this modal is showing up, and then I'll have my bot scan for this time in the background. So let's go back here. So place initial bid is just going to be entering the amount of my bid and clicking that button that says place quick bid. After that, I want to scan for time left. Okay, and this is where I'm going to try to determine how much time is left in this auction so that I can basically have my bot take an action at a specific time, right? Hey, there's 1 second left. Go ahead and take the action. There's 0 seconds left. Go ahead and take the action, right? That's how I'm going to be able to time my bot to work at the very last second. After I've scanned for time left, what I want to do is actually click that place bid button. So I'm going to click place bid. And what I mean by that is clicking the green button, that place bid button that we saw on the modal that's like, hey, are you sure you want to confirm this bid? That's where I'm going to click that button. Okay, we're going to test that out and then we will see how it goes. The last thing we want to do here, and I'm not going to add any code for that right now, is to capture results. And we'll do that very last after we've run the bot to make sure that it works. All right, so the first thing we need to do is launch this page. I'm going to go back over here. This is the challenge page URL. I'm going to copy this. This is available in the description and text below. So you have all of that available to you. If you want to build along with me, that's awesome. That's a great way to learn. What I would suggest doing though is if you're going to build along with me, try it with me once and then try to do it slightly different, right? Play around with the order of things, see how that matters. Try to adjust some of the timings to see how that matters. See what other things you can do to tweak things to maybe make it go a little bit faster. See what impact those tweaks have on your total processing time. So what I'm going to do is go over to my left-hand side here. I've got my actions pane. I'm going to go to the browser package and select the open action. And I'll drag that right over into my launch page step. I put these steps here, like I said, just because of like skeleton. This is how I like to think about my code. Like this is my map of what I need to do. They don't actually matter for processing. They're really just for my own visual purposes so that I can logically break up my code into logical segments. It also is a great way of forcing me to write some kind of commenting, right? I'm terrible at writing comments otherwise, but these steps are a great way to force me to do that because I've essentially given a comment for each step that's what's going on inside of that step. When I launch a browser window, I always like to do it in a new window, and I always like to explicitly determine the browser that I'm using. In this case, Google Chrome, right? I like to do that explicitly because I know that my bot eventually will probably run on an unattended bot runner. And so I want to make sure that I'm specifying exactly what browser should be used and not just relying on whatever is the default browser for that particular bot runner. Okay, so it's good to explicitly mention that. I also like to always do a new window when I'm doing a bot build. The new tab stuff I'll only do if the bot needs a new tab on an existing window. So I'll hit save here. That will launch the page for us. So that step is done. We can minimize it. We don't have anything else left to do there. The next is to capture the time left. So to do this, we're going to have to be a little bit creative in our timing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the recorder package and the capture action right here. And the capture action enables me to grab stuff on an application or on a web interface, right? So when I say grab stuff, like I can interact with a button, I can interact with an input field, I could select a drop down, whatever it might be, I can interact with that stuff. So it could be a web application, it could be a local thick client application, whatever it is, I can use Recorder for that. To specify where I want to use Recorder, I can select whether it's an application or a browser window. So in my case, it's a browser window. I'm going to hit the refresh button here. It's going to try to determine all of the open browser tabs or windows from Google Chrome on my machine. I'm going to select the Auction Sniper window here. And what I want to do before I do my recording, because this is like a completed auction, so I need to do it again so I can get like a fresh one. I'm going to hit refresh right here. And I have 40 seconds, so I'm going to come back here. I will select Capture Object. I'm going to highlight over this input field here, which is the enter your max bid, and click. Now, when I do that, what's happening on the Automation Anywhere side is that it's capturing everything that it knows about that particular object. So it knows the control type, it knows the HTML tags, it knows the DOM-X path, it has an HTML ID in this case. It knows everything about, it's trying to gather everything it can know about that particular object. I can go and open this up to see even more details, everything that's possible, but everything that's checked here are properties that it's going to be looking for as we look to interface with that particular object on the page during a bot execution. Now, for my action to take here, what I'm going to do is select from this dropdown, and I'm going to set text. And that enables me to set a value into this input field. I'm going to enter, just like we did on our example there, $500. Okay? And I will hit the save button. We want to do this one more time because we have to click that quick bid button. So what I'm going to do is just copy this one. I'll hit Control C and Control V. Optionally, you could do that from here and just say like copy action and paste action. But I did Control C and Control V on my keyboard. Now, I need to refresh this again because my auction expired. So let me refresh that. Let's go back to my Automation Anywhere page. I'll hit Recapture Object. Select the quick bid button. See the little red box around it, so I know that the recorder has found it. I will click that. And again, it's going to record everything that it knows about that particular object. When I select this action to take dropdown, notice that my options are a little bit different here, and that's just because this time I've selected a button instead of an input field. So these will change a bit based on the type of object that you've highlighted and selected. I'm going to select the click button, or the click option. I will scroll down here. Again, you can see all the details that Automation Anywhere knows about that particular object, the DOM XPath, the reference, the HTML ID, because it has one in this case, so that was recorded, and I'll hit save. You know what? We screwed up. We just did the quick bid inside of the capture time left. Let's move this down. Sorry about that. Let's move these two inside of the place initial bid. What we want to do here is capture the time left. So I did screw that up slightly. All good. We needed to do both anyway. Let's put this inside of the capture time left. What I'm going to do is refresh our page one more time. And I'm going to click to recapture this object. And this is our capture time left. So I'm going to highlight over this time left. You can see here that I can't just select the seconds. I have to select the entire thing. So I'll click. And that's going to capture the time left. Now, notice here that it's got the entire time left. So it's 44 and the word seconds. I can't just grab 44, even though 44 is the part that I actually want. We're going to talk about how I can get that. So my action to take here is going to be get property. Now, if I don't know exactly what property I want to extract, what I can do is open up this object properties here, and I can scan through these. I can see inner HTML has 44 seconds. I can see that HTML inner text also has 44 seconds. So both of those are fair game for the properties that I want to extract. So what I can do here is from this drop down, I can select inner HTML. Perfect. Now at the very bottom here, and I'll minimize this object properties. At the very bottom, it's going to ask, where do I want to save the output from that extraction? So I'm going to click the plus sign that's next to the field. You're not going to be able to see it on the screen because my face is in the way, but it enables you to add a new variable. And I'm going to call this one S time left. Let's say auction time left. And hit create and select. Now I'm prefixing it with a lowercase s because that's how I like to save my variables. I like them to all have a prefix of their type. This is known as a Hungarian notation, but it enables me to quickly look at a variable and just by the name of it know that, oh, this is a string, or oh, this is a number, or this is a data table. So it's just a process that I like to use. It's great to be able to establish that within your organization so that as you're working with other developers, as you move from bot to bot, and as you're co-working on some of these bots, you know how to easily identify, name, and find variables. Now, what we just extracted will say something like 44 seconds. What we want is to extract just the number out of that, right? Because we just want to know exactly how much time is left. So what I'm going to do is go to the string package here, and there is an action that is called extract text. So I'm going to add that. And it says, what is your source string? I'm going to press F2 in that field. My source string is the auction time left variable. Now, in this, I can extract text that is either in between two other pieces of text at the beginning or at the end. In our case, I want to grab the text at the beginning and I want to end before, and here is where I enter the word seconds, right? I'm actually going to put a space at the front too. So space seconds, and I'll actually just put second because I don't know if the 1 goes down to just a single second or if it still says seconds. But anyway, I'm going to put it like this. And what that means is this action is going to extract everything that comes before space seconds. So in this case, it should extract just that 44 like we saw, right? That's what I'm looking to do. Now, at the very bottom here, again, I have to select where I want to save this, what value I want to save it to. I'm going to select the exact same variable that it just came from, s auction time left. So what I'm doing is taking that original variable that said 44 seconds, I'm extracting just the 44 from it, and I'm storing it back in the same variable. Now, at this point, I have a number, but it's still in a string data type. So what I need to do is convert that from a string to a number. So in the string package, I can select the toNumber action, drag that over. And here I will enter the string that I want to convert to a number. So if I press F2, I can bring up my variables explorer. I will select s auction time left and hit yes, insert. Now, just below that, I need to specify the variable that I want to save that to. And in this case, it needs to be a number variable. So I'm going to select the plus sign here for create a variable because I don't have any number variables. And I'm going to do lowercase n for number. And then I will say auction time left. So now I have two very similarly named variables, but one is a number and one is a string. I'll hit save. Okay, so now we have our auction time left. So we kind of screwed that up. My steps got ahead of themselves. All right, we're now at the point where we want to scan for time left. And this is where I saw some people doing things a little bit different than I would probably suggest on social media this week. This is a great opportunity to use a while loop. And with the while loop, that enables me to say, hey, as long as this seconds left thing is greater than 0, keep looping, right? But once it gets to 0 or once it gets below 1, then I want to take some kind of operation, right? So what we're doing with the while loop in this case is really just telling the bot to delay until we get to that very last second. Some other people did this with like a loop that had 100,000 iterations to it. Yeah, I mean, that's not really like a great way to do it. This is the most efficient way to do so, which is with a while loop. So what we're going to do that is you will go up to the loop package here. You will drag over the loop action and put that right inside of scan for time left. Now, how do we know to do a while loop versus a regular iterator loop? If we select this radio button right here, that enables us to select a while loop. And then I can choose a condition. My condition here is going to be while number is greater than. So it's going to be a number condition. And I already have that number, right? I already extracted it from that capture time left. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to press F2. Make sure you can see that. I will select the n auction time left. And I'm going to say while that is greater than 0. And I'll hit save. Now, if you're not familiar with looping or you're not familiar with while loops, let's think about the way that this works. I'm going to continue operating inside of this loop while my condition resolves to true. So if there's 5 seconds left on my auction, I'm going to continue in my while loop. If there's 1 second left in my auction, I'm going to continue in my while loop, right? Because both of those values are greater than 0. But if my auction time left is no longer greater than 0, then I will pop out of my while loop and I'll execute whatever comes next. Okay? Now, what do we need to do inside of our while loop, right? We checked for the initial bid time up here, but how do I find that again? What we're going to do is I'm going to capture this, capture time left. I'm going to copy that entire step and I'm going to paste it inside of this. Okay? Because it's really the exact same thing. All I need to do is update that value which has my auction time left. So I want to keep updating that. And that way, every time the while loop executes, it's reevaluating based off of an updated value for the amount of time left in the auction. Now, if you're going to use while loops in a production build, right, you'll want to make sure you have some kind of escape or some kind of safety so that you don't end up with an infinite loop, right? If you know the application you're working on and you're pretty trustful of how it works and how it's executing, that's fine. but just be aware that you don't want to end up in a situation where you have an infinite loop, right? Let's say in this situation that the page had updated, and now instead of ever saying 0 seconds left or 1 second left, it actually just said like auction ended, right? Or it changed the language here. I could end up with an infinite loop if I was still appropriately extracting that number, but I never found that the number decremented to 0, right? So I'd want to have some way to check this. Maybe it's, hey, I'm capturing the time that I started the loop. If it's been sitting for more than 5 minutes, I want to automatically bail on the loop. In that case, I could use a break that would get me out of the loop. So just something to consider for a real production use of while loop. Just make sure you don't set yourself up for a situation where you're into an infinite loop. Okay, we're done with our scan for time left. The next thing we want to do, which is actually the last thing for right now, is to place a bid. So we're going to set ourselves up here so that we can record that. Let me go back here one more time. I want to add a recorder action, or recorder capture action right here. Select my browser window. So I'm all set up, ready to go as soon as I can get this page going. So I'm going to refresh. I'm going to enter, oh man, it's only 15 seconds. Let's refresh again. Let's refresh again. There we go, 27 is fine. I'll put 500 here. I'll hit quick bid. This is the button I want to clone. So I had to get to that point so that we could actually see it. I'll hit capture object. I'm going to highlight over that place bid button and click. My action to take in this case is going to be to perform a click. Okay. I don't need to set any of these other properties. Everything that recorder identified about this particular object is fine. So I'll hit save. All right, so we obviously this one ended on its own, so that's fine. What I'm going to do is close this window, and I'm going to run the bot. And we're going to see if the bot was able to do what we said it should do, right? Which is to go through there and place an initial bid. And now it's going to sit and wait. It's going to keep scanning that time in the background to figure out when it's time to actually click the place bid. Now, as we're going through this process, right, I'm building these in a very specific way because I want you to learn a couple things. One, I want you to learn about the process of being able to take a use case, right, and break that up into process steps so that I can appropriately kind of create that outline or that shell for my bot of exactly what I need to do in every particular step. Cool, so we won the auction, right? The other thing I want you to learn is that there are lots of different actions I can use in different ways to put together what I need to do, right? So you probably saw a lot of people using the loop with, like I said, crazy high counters, and they just kept checking that time. A while loop is a great way to expand on what you're capable of as a bot builder, and this is a great use case to do that. Now, you probably saw some times on social media this week that got all the way down to like 0.00 whatever, right? The way that we can do that is we can add a slight delay before we click that button to capture our, or click that button to submit our final bid. But the other reason I want to leave this up right now is because I want to capture all the details on this page. So let's go back to our build, and this is where we're going to fill in that capture result step. So I'm going to drag over a result capturing capability here. I will select auction sniper. I will capture object. The first thing I want to capture is my auction result. So that's that first line right there. The action I want to take, again, I want to extract that text, but I don't necessarily know what the value is. So I'll open up this object properties here. It looks like the inner HTML has the text that I want. So I will select inner HTML here. And I will select a variable to store that into. And here I'm going to click that create variable button again. Again, it's on the far right side. It's got an X with a little plus sign on it. And I'm going to call this one auction result. Let's call it, let's say challenge result. Auction result's a little too specific. S challenge result. So I save that. Let's do another one here. Select our browser again, capture object. This time I'm going to get the time left, so I'll just click on this. If you want to break it up and like actually get the very specific time left without the full sentence, you can do that. using the same technique that we did before with the string extract text. I'm not going to do that for this tutorial, but you would be able to do that. So it's a cool thing to do after this exercise is over. If you're just learning and you want to try and take this a little bit further, that would be a good use case. Get property. We're going to do the same thing again. This is the inner HTML that I want to capture. And for my variable, again, I'll create a new variable. I'm going to call this one s bid time. Save. Now I need to do two more. I'm just going to copy the one we just had so that I don't have to fill all that stuff in again. I'll click recapture object. We're going to grab the auction price. Get property, enter HTML is already set, so I'm cool with that. I'll just leave those alone. I do want to make sure I update my variable to save though, and I'll create a new variable in that bottom right hand corner. And this time I'm going to say s final price. And then the last thing I'm going to capture, I'm going to copy this one more time and paste it. Again, Control C and Control V to do that. I'm going to capture the GUID down here. Now, we have these GUIDs that are showing up, and if you mouse over it here, you can see that it says that the submission was verified. We're going to use these GUIDs for something later on. So I would suggest if you get a really good time, you save the GUID. That's why we're adding this logging to our bot. It's also a great way to be able to see like how I'm doing over time, right? So maybe I'm going to try this exercise once. I'm going to tweak the delay to see if I can get it closer to 0. If I have that logging turned on, it will log every single time that I've completed this exercise, and I'll be able to see like, am I getting better? Is the auction price going down? Is my time to bid going lower, right? That will show me if I'm improving, and it's a good way to be able to measure that execution over execution. So again, we're going to leave this as get property, enter HTML is the property name, and then for the variable at the very bottom, I'm going to add a new one, and we'll call this one sGUID. The last thing I want to do after I've captured all of that is I'm going to log it. So I'm going to go to log to file, drag that to the very end here. For my file path, I'm just going to do like a generic one that I know will work on any bot runner, including my own machine and probably your machine too. I'm going to do c:temp, and then I'm just going to name this file auction sniper results.csv. And then for my text to log, I'm going to log all the stuff we just captured. So I'm going to log the challenge result. I'll press comma there. I'm pressing F2 to bring up that variables explorer. I'll put the bid time, comma, F2 again, final price, comma, and then F2 one more time for our GUID. Okay, the last thing we said we'll do is add a slight delay here before we click place bid. This auction, we were 792 milliseconds off of 0 approximately. So what I'm going to do here is I will add a delay right here, and that's right before we actually click the place bid button. I'll add it for 700. That's probably going to be too close. Let's do 680 milliseconds and hit save. All right. And then I'm going to close this result and we'll run it again. And ideally, what we'll see here is that we're closer to that 0, time. You can continue to tweak and play around with that if you want to. It's going to be really dependent on how this is executing and running on your own machine as to how much you want to, bump that down. Again, just based on the results we just saw, 680 is appropriate next step for me. What you'll probably see though is as you get really close to 0, you're going to start to lose some of the auctions, right? Because the timing is really tough to get like exactly right. So you'll want to come up with like what is a fair number for you to be able to get close to 0, but not necessarily consistently lose auctions, because that's not the point of this, right? This exercise was a really fun one though, and I think it's a unique scenario because if you participated in bot games last time when we did it in August, it was all about going really fast. This bot build is about how do I go really slow, in this case 55 seconds slow, so that I can go really fast at the very last second. So we're at 1 second left. We click the bid. In this case, we won. We had 0.18835. So again, I could probably bump that up to like 780 milliseconds and see if that gets me closer to that 00 time. You can continue to play around with that. We also want to see that we logged this to our ctemp directory. So here I have an Auction Sniper results Excel file. We missed capturing the, what did we miss here? Let's see why we missed that. We missed capturing the GUID. Oh, you know what? It's because the GUID loaded delayed. So what you'll want to do here, and I won't rerun this, but before capturing your results, add a delay here for, let's say, 2 seconds. Because what happens is your bot run will complete, the exercise will complete, and this GUID actually loads slightly later than when the modal pops up. So you'll want to add a slight delay there so that you can capture that GUID. But again, you'll want to make sure you capture that because we're going to use that later on, and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag right now on what we're going to do with that, but you will be able to use this later on to do some cool stuff. So save your GUIDs so that you have a record of those. One last thing before we drop here, I do want to just talk about Bot Games Season 2 and how you can make sure you're winning swag. So number one, make sure that you've registered for Bot Games Season 2. I will put a link in the description below, but it's at developer.automationanywhere.com/botgames. You can go there, see registration details, sign up, make sure that you're registered. You have to be registered in order to win swag. So that's step one on winning swag. Step two on winning swag is making sure to complete the challenges. So I just showed you how to build one of them, but make sure that you've completed the challenge and you share a screenshot on social media with the hashtag BotGames. That way our team, our social media team, our developer evangelism team can find your posts, we can cheer you on, we can leave comments, things like that. The other thing you want to do to make sure that you have a good chance of winning swag is tag 3 other developers in your social media post, right? Tag them, challenge them to complete the same challenge you just completed. It's a fun way to have some friendly competition between friends. See if they can beat your time, see if they can complete the challenge. Share some tips about what worked for you, what didn't work for you, what you tried, what you didn't try yet, what you have in mind, right? These are ways that we all get better. These are ways that we all contribute to the Automation Anywhere developer community. And this is how we all improve on our bot building skills. So take part in that, and that's going to be your best chance at winning some Bot Games Season 2 swag. Our swag this time is awesome. We have these really nice looking shirts. We also have some laptop stickers that have that same arcade machine on it. So they look really cool. You'll definitely want to make sure you can get your hands on some of that swag. Okay? My name is Micah Smith. Thanks so much for participating in Bot Games Season 2 Challenge 1 Auction Sniper. Be sure to be on the lookout for our other challenge pages that are coming up. They're going to be a ton of fun, and you'll have more and more chances to win Automation Anywhere Bot Games Season 2 swag. Have fun with these challenges. Go be great.